I got to get a more comfortable chair.
This is where we bounce, Jay.
You don't want to see me bounce.
Let's
the
bounce.
whole building will move.
Now, this
And
is
if we both bounce, it could collapse.
This is the third version of CRABBY Coffee Shop.
So what were the first two is what I want to know.
The first one was with John Haidt and Don McLean.
Okay.
And it was just simply me saying yes to Dan, the boss. He goes,
Yeah.
I want you to do a podcast. And I
Okay.
said no. And then I thought, okay, Don and John both have a whole bunch of leftover stories they didn't get to. Mm-hmm. Let's just do that. Then we don't have to do any show prep. Well, we got into it a couple of years, and I couldn't live with myself because it was so stupid. Seriously. I hated myself really bad. So I did the wrong thing, and I pulled the plug, and I made Don really mad at me. And then the second version was with Amy.
Okay.
And I had a lot of fun with Amy.
Yeah.
But now
Amy's good.
Amy and I are divorced. That's because you became
Infighting?
available.
Oh, nice.
And you were always my first choice. Always.
Well, thank you. That's probably the worst first choice you ever made.
So finally, 3 choices in, you're here.
Yeah, I'm here. It's actually going to be fun for me because, well, don't get me wrong. I always liked what I did at Channel 5, but the one thing I liked and enjoyed about radio was we were a lot looser up here.
Yeah.
And we could have a little bit more fun.
Yeah, we did zero show prep. For
Right.
this.
Yeah.
Zero.
Well, my texts with you are about one sentence, getting
And,
ready for a show. You just tell me, I want to have Reusse on. I go, sounds good.
So, and we're going to have Reusse on. And the reason, hi, Reusse. How you doing,
Oh, is
Pat?
Patrick there?
Yeah, Pat's here.
Hey, Patrick.
Fine, gents. I'm out in the boonies working the newspaper job, but that's okay.
All right.
I'm done with what I had to do. So.
The reason I wanted you on, Reusse, was because the three of us work together on 1500, but I want you to explain how the CRABBY Coffee Shop came about. It was you and I. Joe Souchere likes to take credit for this show. He had nothing to do with it. It was me and Reusse on the air bitching. And what were we bitching about, Patrick?
I can't remember how we got the title. Oh, I think just coffee being like $12 a cup for all this stupid stuff. And we kind of decided that at the CRABBY Coffee Shop, you aren't getting any steamed milk. Just pour it in there, and if you don't like it, take a hike.
My memory, Patrick, is you were mad because the bank teller or somebody was asking you, how you doing today, sir? What are you going to do? Blah, blah, blah. And that really, really makes both of us angry.
Yeah, we still you still run into that once in a while where they ask you if you're going to have if you had any plans for the weekend.
Yeah. Well, if I do, I'm not telling you.
Yeah, that's right. I'll find out when I get up in the morning if I haven't.
And Jay, we had a matron, one of our heroes, and it was this Russian gal who lived to the age of 116, and she said before she died, every single day of my life has been a living hell. And it's God punishing me that I've lived this long. And Reusse and I are going, this
Hallelujah.
gal, she's my
Hallelujah.
hero. Somebody gets it.
So that's the key. Live to 116, just be miserable.
So that's the origin of the CRABBY Coffee Shop.
Well, I knew it had to do with something with the foo-foo coffee shops, right?
You're missing a key element, boys.
And it was
The highest impressioned tweet ever sent out by the AM1500 ESPN Twitter account was Patrick on the left and Kenny on the right holding the hand-carved CRABBY Coffee Shop sign and both giving the middle finger.
That one still floats around.
It's a proud moment.
Have that one.
I was going to say, can we bring that back? Where do we find that? I didn't even see
It's
that.
hanging in the wall. It's actually in my studio.
Is it? That's perfect. Fantastic. I like it.
So,
well, Jay, we'll never be able to repeat. My favorite part of our show, though, was when at 5 minutes to 9, we'd argue about who had booked the worst guest.
I think I usually won. I think I usually won that contest.
Well, you booked more guests.
I did. So by default, I had more lousy ones for
how
sure.
long was the run of that show? It was
4
morning.
years. 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah. Patrick, though, and I think we did almost a little over a year.
I think we only did like 15 months or something.
Yeah, it was a little over a year. It was 4 years total, but Patrick and I and you was about, I think, a year and a half. Yeah.
Oh,
Kenny?
Patrick, you replaced Willie Clark.
Willie Clark, yeah.
Oh.
Yes, we might have been the Crabby Coffee Shop in Crabby, but I think that was the only show that could bring me in as a more lively and upbeat personality.
That's true, Pat.
A happier partner than Jane had previously.
But but we had to throw in, that's true, Patrick was actually uplifting compared to Willie, but nothing scared me to death more. I hadn't worked with Patrick, obviously, full-time, right? He was on the show doing his sports stuff.
Right.
But the scariest part to me was John Burns.
Oh, the
Burnsy.
producer.
Oh, yeah.
Burnsy.
Yeah.
Love Burnsy to death. But until you got to know Burnsy,
Yeah.
I thought he was going to kill me
Yeah,
every other
same
day,
here.
and maybe the whole neighborhood. I couldn't get a smile out of that guy. Am I wrong on that, Patrick?
No, you're not. And of course, the other highlight of the show was that I can't remember who the guy was, but he was doing traffic in the morning, and he and Bernsey couldn't stand each other. Which was another.
If I remember right, the traffic reporter.
And they were like 2 feet apart.
Yeah, that's
One
right.
time I don't know what I was doing, an ad or something, and I didn't know when to end, and I knew I had a hard out, and I started snapping my fingers to get attention. After that ad ended, he almost killed me.
Yeah, well,
I mean, seriously, I was afraid for my life.
I was afraid for my life just walking in every morning. I didn't know which way Burnsy was going to go.
That was the perfect show.
I didn't know
that
which way it was gonna
that
go.
could have been a sitcom. That show.
It was pretty good. Patrick was the best at bringing the donuts in. That man knew his donuts. But
I think it was, what day? Was it Tuesday?
it was like Tuesday or Wednesday. It was I can't remember. You had a specific day. The donuts were.
Well, I went up to the donut shop that was up in the little shopping center up from our house. Which, by the way, now next to the donut shop is a hookah lounge. It's busy all the time.
I'll bet the donut shop's got to be just
that's
as busy.
smart.
The donut shop, I'd knock on the door at 3:30 in the morning and get a load of donuts. So they were fresh as could be, man. That was good donuts.
I remember Patrick would walk in and he'd always say, God, he goes, 50 years of the newspaper business. This is the hardest goddamn job I've ever done. Is talk radio every morning. What am I doing? Right?
I did not mind getting up in the morning, though. I never bothered me. But you know what I used to do when I left too early? I'd drive down through downtown Minneapolis and see if there was any fellas out there shooting at each other at 2:30. That was always interesting.
I'm sure you found a couple too.
Yeah.
My favorite moment
See
with
who
you.
was sneaking in the back door of the sex shop there.
My favorite moment with you, though, well, there were many, but my favorite was when we were in. Remember, they would send us to Florida for the Twins, right? And we'd be down there with John Gordon and Dan Gladden, and we would start the show in pitch blackness in the stadium.
Yes.
And your foot blew up like a Halloween pumpkin. Remember?
Yeah, what was that? What did they do? I don't know.
I
But
don't know. But you
bit
had a
by
swollen
something?
foot. He had a swollen foot.
Yeah.
He could barely walk. It's pitch black in the stadium as we're trying to do our show. And Patrick was trying to read some stuff. And I don't know if he had to even read a spot or what he was trying to do, but he couldn't read it very well. Well, I turned over and looked at him. He had his glasses on upside down. He did like the first half hour of the show with his glasses on, literally upside down, with a swollen
Then I
foot.
Also, one year I was down there, I had a serious case of ricey throat, which I used to get every spring and summer. But I basically couldn't talk for about 80% of the time Jay was down there doing the show.
That's true. That's true. I'd forgotten about that. So
that was fun.
It was good times, but it didn't last very
I'll
long,
tell
but
you,
it was
those
fun.
years we had the Twins, man, we made the least of it, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Talk about backing up to the pay window, huh?
We made the least of it.
Really taking advantage.
There was nothing more exciting than when they released the schedule and we could look ahead and see all the afternoons.
So
we had
everybody was off work.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, Pat and I never got that advantage.
Jay,
Yeah.
here's the highlight. Joe, looking at the schedule to see what afternoon games
He could get
were
off.
on. we didn't have the twins anymore. They had,
Can you imagine the heartbreak?
Joe missed that small piece of news.
I missed that part. The other thing I remember fondly too. Remember, my son Taylor was in combat at the time.
Yes, right.
And you came up with the idea. There was a movie out, Men Who Eat Goats.
Yeah.
Or Whisper to Goats.
Yeah,
or
like a CIA movie.
Yeah.
Right.
What was
Deep
it?
Cover.
Men Who Eat Goats.
Something about that. Yeah.
Clooney. It was a Clooney movie.
George Clooney flick. And you came up with the idea to have our listeners. What was it? Send in $1 to raise money for Taylor's unit to buy food.
The Men Who Stare at Goats.
That's right. Yeah.
The Men Who Stare at Goats, and we called it the Men Who Eat Goats.
Yes, right.
And so Patrick started this on-air campaign to help the Men Who Eat Goats, the United States Marine Corps in Afghanistan. And remember, Taylor reported back to us that we didn't know where it was going to go, and it was kind of just for fun. You encourage people to send $1, and I think the boys in that unit got over $2,000.
Nice.
And everybody was sending in $1 or more or $2, and they got over and they did. They went out and bought goats and ate the goats. So we did the whole Men Who Eats Goats. It was a fun thing.
We should have had them send it through us. We could have clipped off half of it.
So we had some good memories.
We won't get into the details, but when the show was breaking up, I do think my goodbye cake deal was one of the great parties.
Oh, yeah, we got into the details 2 weeks ago. Your goodbye cake. Get out of jail. Welcome to
Yeah.
You still like that one, don't you?
Yeah.
I talked about it 2 weeks ago, Patrick.
You go to Roulette's and explain what you want in your cake. They look at you like you're crazy. But it worked out.
Would it say something about congratulations about getting out?
Congratulations on getting out of jail.
The show was dying.
Yeah, it was dying, and it was pretty good.
Switching to all
sports. Yep. Yeah, and Melly Mrozak went and got it. I remember Melly.
Yeah, and Daniels.
And Amy Daniels and Melly Mrozak. Yeah, it was only 15 or 16 months, but it was a good time.
So he gave me a stat before the show, Patrick, that when you guys worked together, you were 65, and now today, Jay is 65.
I'm 65, and Patrick's turning 80. Correct me if I'm wrong, Patrick.
Friday
you turned 80.
On Friday.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to make a big deal of it, and I'm not that excited, frankly.
Well, listen, Reusse, first of all, you got to live till Friday.
yeah, that is.
We're not there yet, brother.
I'm not that excited.
I got to tell you guys about my knees, by the way.
What's going on with your knees?
So last Saturday, I went to the Bethel football game, and I walked up and down the steps. There's 25, 30 steps up to the press box and back twice. Walked around the stadium. I was doing okay. Sunday, I was okay. Monday, I looked like Rose Kennedy walking down the street. I was 2'4". I was being helped along. I couldn't walk for 3 days. And anyway, I got Thursday. I was better. Friday, I'm okay. But new knee in December. I'm getting a new right knee.
Oh,
so
what'd they find? It's just
bone
junk?
on bone.
Yeah, they showed it to me, and he said, the last time you were in here, I injected it. He says there's nothing to inject.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He left in there to inject.
See, Patrick, now that I'm 65, the same age you were when we worked together, I just had the same thing 2 weeks ago. They just injected my right knee. I'm almost bone on bone. Huh?
Hang on 15 more years, you can get a new one.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think I'd rather be dead than get a new knee. The thought of it's not fun, Patrick.
I don't fear the knee. I fear the exercise.
Rehab. Yep, that's the rehab. Yep.
Jay, do you know what the Reusse going for a walk is?
No.
Just put the top down in the convertible and drive on the parkway. That's Reusse going for.
Genius.
It's beautiful.
I think I endorse that. How about you?
Wait till he tells them that's his therapy plan. Because they'll ask him, what do you want to do for therapy? That'll be his plan right there.
That is right.
Reusse, you had a wonderful piece this morning about Craig Wong. What's going on with him?
Wangy, God love him, one of the great agitators of all time, one of the hardest working guys, knew more people in Minneapolis than anybody in the world, Sid included. He knew everybody. He's lunch, and he's got last September he was coming to the ballpark still driving, and he's got bad Alzheimer's, and it's it's a bad situation. I don't want to get too maudlin about it, but we're all very sad because he misses us. We miss greatly him figuring out he could. He was the kind of guy who, if you were playing golf with him and you were in a cart with him, he was the most supportive guy ever. But then when you all four got on the greens, he gave you nothing but a hard time. So when he had a crowd around, he was a great agitator. He quit the paper in 2002 because he and his wife didn't have kids, and they both had good jobs. And Wonger used to say his biggest problem is he didn't know what to do with his money, to tease you. So anyway, I always said, when the rest of us were family men at the St. Paul paper, and I was a kid, and we were cashing our checks at Luigi's every other week to pay off our bar bill, and then we'd take what we had left home to the wife. Wanger was buying mutual funds back then. He was, So he's having tremendous memory issues, and I talked to Donna, and she was okay with me writing the column. So
And is he going to be able? Can they read that to him? Is he going to be able to enjoy that? And how would he take it?
I am not sure.
I'd be upset if anybody said those kind of nice things about me. That's not how I want to leave this vale of tears.
Well, he was an unbelievable. He's a sports writer, the rarest kind. He did good works for people. He tried to help them instead of come up with stuff to insult them. So it was. As he said in the quote that I used in there was, he said that I was quoted in this story as saying Wanger could get along with everybody, even Herb Brooks.
Oh boy!
And Wanger's retort was just the opposite of Patrick. He could get along with everybody, but it was. It was a privilege to write it, but it's a sad situation.
Correct me? Was he the official scorer for the Twins for a while?
For years, for 8 years. He gave it up though before this occurred because he got sick of They took basically all the power away from the scorekeeper, and the league. Somebody from the league would be calling and saying, "You call that an error? It should have been a hit." And all this. He couldn't stand He couldn't stand the league office introducing itself to him during the game.
Yeah.
And, what happened is the scoring, and this is a little inside ball, but you came up with the exit velocity, right? So they used to hit a ground ball to shortstop, and the guy let it go through his legs, and we call it an error, Now they say, well, that ball was hit 103 miles an hour. Yeah, well, you're
still an error.
Put your glove down and catch it, dummy. But there's been a lot of interference, and he just gave it up. He didn't like all the interference that was coming along. Back when I scored, way back in the late 70s, early 80s, when they still let people who covered the team score before the newspaper. The New York Times decided not to let them, and then everybody started. But when I did it, hell, you'd fill out a sheet of paper. You might mail it in 3 days later.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then it became a bigger deal. I remember once I called an error on a pop fly in the middle of the infield, and I think Eric Soderholm and Craig Cusick were the two guys, and I think I gave it to Soderholm, the error, and he was screaming. and after the game, and Cusick was over there too, and I said, I don't care who gets the air, but one of you was getting an air. Pop up in the middle of the infield, it was an air, boy.
Why don't you fight among each other?
I let him flip it. Soderholm was fighting to give it to Cusick. And then I said, okay, flip a coin, and Soderholm still got the air. So
Pat, were you the scorer when the Twins pitcher came up to the press box and complained because only 9 of his 10 runs were earned?
He didn't come up to the press box. It was fast Victor Alberry, who's no longer with us, by the way. He passed away down, but he was in Key West. He was from Key West, and he was a little goof. He's the guy I borrowed a 10 spot to so he could go to behind the green door. So down south.
The dirty movie from the 70s?
Yeah, there was a porn theater right up from the hotel in Kansas City. And it was the end of the road trip, and Vic was out of money, and I had to borrow him. This is like the 1970s, and they were charging $10 for porn movies.
Holy cow! Yeah. They knew they were sitting on a gem.
$100
they
today.
were. So I had to borrow him $10 to go to the behind the green door. But,
what was his review of it? Was it worth the 10?
And I couldn't put that on the expense account either.
That's probably not going to work.
Borrowed $10 to pitcher to go to porn shows. Anyway, Victor, the Twins. Okay, I'll give you this whole story. The Twins opened the season in Kansas City in '76, maybe, and Kansas City was really getting good then. And the Twins beat Kansas City 6-4 on Friday night. And then on Sunday they got beat 23-6.
Jesus.
And and then they got rained out Sunday. So we came back in August, and the next game they got beat 17-2 or 3, something like that. So in 16 innings they'd given up 40 runs to Kansas City, right? So.
Wow.
Anyway, Vic pitched that day in mop-up, and he gave up 10 runs, all earned, and the scorers were the Kansas City guys, and Vic called up and said only 9 of them should have been in like 3 1/3 or something. Vic was an unusual character.
Well, I never met Wong, didn't get to know him, but I thought he was, terrific writer. What was it? What did you see in his writing? I thought he was. I thought he was one of the best.
Thorough.
Yep.
He was very thorough, and he did also have one of the most tasteless lines ever. But it was great. Remember, crazy Les Steckel was coaching the Vikings.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And he was blowing up, and I think Wonger said. Les used to, he was a military guy and Vietnam guy, and he used to always talk about all the men he led through he said he always told us how many men he led into the jungles. He never told us how many he led out.
Oh, boy.
We probably wouldn't get that right in, but this was the St. Paul paper. We could get anything we wanted.
And back in the day, too.
One of the things I was reminded about while reading that is both papers had morning and afternoon editions. And how much it's changed to this day, where now something you write today might show up 3 days from now in the paper.
Oh, God, yes. Well, you know what's happening December 28th, don't you?
Yeah.
You read that.
Yeah.
The paper's going to be printed in Des Moines.
I didn't know that.
I think the deadline's going to be 5 p.m. unless there's a blizzard. As they're crating back the papers in the trucks in the middle of winter, you know what happens once in a while on 35W between Des Moines and the Twin Cities?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It takes a while. So I think.
Help me. Speaking of that, help me understand the logistics, because I can get the Star Tribune right now in my town. West of Alexandria at 5:30 in the morning. Is that going to change?
No, they're just going to have earlier deadlines. But the papers, I get my paper now like at 2. You know why you're getting your paper so early, though? The press run is so small.
Yeah, they're tiny.
I mean, back on Sunday, when I first worked there as a copy boy 100 years ago, the press run on Sundays was over 600,000.
Lord help me!
And
Wow.
now it's probably 150, maybe 140, something like that. It was they sent papers out to on Sunday. The Sunday paper went to the Montana border.
Good Lord, I didn't know that.
I neither.
Oh God, it was huge.
And then on the other hand, when I lived in South Minneapolis, 38th and Cedar, basically,
Oh yeah.
I could not get the St. Paul paper. They would not deliver it to my door. I had to go to a box.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what I said was the delight of being the beat writer for the St. Paul paper in baseball. You could write anything you wanted to. They never saw it. Everybody lived in Minneapolis, and I could see that guy.
Nobody knew.
Reading. But some of these, these Gladys Kravitzes would send them. They'd clip it out and mail it to the guy, right? If you insulted him, right? So, like 3 days later, you could see them reading this clipping that they got, and then they'd look at it, and then they'd be staring across the clubhouse at you like, say, "Oh, Christ, Willie Norwood saw what I wrote." 3 days later.
Or Jack Norris.
So I don't get it. How is there a savings? There's got to be money involved with doing it in Des Moines.
All
right?
they want you all to buy it online. They only care about online.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't know what's.
Because I can't save them any money.
They aren't. I don't. They aren't consulting me. My contract's up at the end of December, and there haven't been many overtures made to bring my fat ass back. So I'm not sure.
Patrick, I have a.
I am the best bargain in newspaper. Half pay, no benefits, 3 columns a week. And they're pretty damn good, too, but they don't care.
But at least you know where the offices are. Such doesn't even know where his office is for the St. Paul paper.
Well,
he doesn't know he got an office.
Have you seen where the Pioneer Press is?
No, that's it. We have no idea.
It's
Do you
a
know?
small little strip mall. It's very sad. And it's a corner of a strip mall.
Reusse, it took an investigative reporter to find out where the newspaper is.
100%. I spent 3 weeks trying to find the damn paper. And, you go through the old Pioneer Press building because Ramsey County Sheriffs use it.
Yeah.
And you go through there, and it's fantastic. And you just walk around and can only imagine that was the Pioneer Press. That was the newsroom. And now they give away kids' coats in there, free food in there.
Next time
nothing's
you're
in there. And the Pioneer Press is literally in a tiny little strip mall with maybe, it looks like 12 desks.
Next time you're in there, ask about...
when I decided to change papers, Dave?
When?
1987.
I remember it well.
We got the nice office there on Cedar Avenue, and then you got the ramp that leads to the Victory Ramp, the worst ramp in America. But the Star Tribune had a office over there, an auxiliary office. And when they started giving out the Homer hankies, they were all the way backed up to the Star Tribune, to the Pioneer Press building, almost down the steps. We couldn't get in our own office because everybody wanted a hanky.
What an insult! Wow.
Yes.
Long gone.
I remember that day. I was working at 1500 up in Maplewood, and you had not told Souchere ahead of time. And you called up there and talked to me, wondering if he was there because you had to somehow break the news before the rest of the public found out. And then later on that day, it was announced.
Yeah, and, it was impulsive on my part. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but you had a really good reason. And I still, to this day, think it was a good reason because at the time, that newspaper was the newspaper of Minnesota. I mean, everywhere you went in this state, you could get that newspaper. And that's what you said at the time, and I thought that was a good reason.
Well, I thought it opened up a greater variety of places where I could go and write stuff.
Sure,
sure. But anyway, it was... I appreciate that crew I worked with, as I wrote about today in the long column about... There was we had some great characters on that sports staff, and we all grew up together and had a great time, and we liked our whiskey too. Damn it! So
I've heard so many stories about those days. I've also heard a lot of stories about your old man, and I want to ask you briefly what he would think of what I'm going to do tomorrow. We're going to take just a pause here, and we'll be right back. Okay, so my question, Patrick, is tomorrow in my area for deer hunting, there's a early doe season, antlerless season only that runs through Sunday. And I don't know how many doe you can shoot, but I'm only going to take one. And I'm just wondering what your dad would have thought about that, because he was a notorious, I don't want to say lawbreaker, but he would stretch the rules, wouldn't he?
Deer, he was not. He wasn't a guy who went out and shined deer. Or anything like that. He would take over the limit with the pheasants and the. And late in the season, you might shoot a couple of hen pheasants so they didn't have to suffer during the winter, but, things like that. But the deer, I suppose he'd shoot one. I don't know. I think the smaller of it, you always like the smaller ones better to eat, right, than the big old bucks.
Well, speaking of the smaller ones, is the story, in my mind, is the story true where he shot a little one and then hid it in the carcass of a bigger one?
That's allegedly true, yes. It supposedly is true. That he brought two back. It wasn't in the car. It was just underneath them when you had them.
Under it, okay.
I was going to say that's genius.
Of course,
that's
nothing
genius.
will ever top the buck he shot, and then was driving back through the Twin Cities and decided to go to the hardware store and get some red paint and put it on the nose and then put some bells on it, and then stopped at his buddy Kenny Malone's house, who had little kids, and pull up and tell the kids that it wouldn't be Christmas because he shot Rudolph.
There's no Christmas this year. These little bastards. Can you imagine? They were scarred for life.
Kenny's bride was
so
not
good.
particularly legend is Kenny's bride was not delicious.
Oh, that
When
so
I
good.
heard this story at the Malone boys, Kenny's kids handled my old man's, funeral and the whole thing, and we were having the wake, and they were at the wake, and then David, one of the sons, told me, "Yeah, I still remember your old man bringing the Rudolph up, the antlered Rudolph with
so
the
good.
red nose, telling us that he shot Rudolph and there wouldn't be a Christmas, and my mother going crazy." So,
Jay, I
he
have...
was here was his problem.
Yeah.
What's that?
The old man. He was a small town undertaker, so 40 funerals. That was a good year, right? So you embalm them, you wake them, you bury them. We didn't do this whole, there'll be a memorial service 2 months from now then, And so 3 days. So he had 240 days a year to think up crap, So that's what he did,
My favorite story that you'd have to fill in the blanks was, this was Fulda with your dad and had to do with duck hunting. And was there an outhouse
and church?
involved, or maybe church?
No.
There were so many stories.
The famous story was when my mother everybody in town knew my mother had cancer, and the old man comes. It's that first November day when the wind is howling and
northern birds are down.
Northern birds are coming.
Yep.
And the old man shows up at the Catholic grade school at about 11 in the morning and bangs on the door and says, "I need Patrick Reusse. There's a family emergency." And this is, I think, 6th grade maybe. And so the nun makes all the kids get down on their knees and say a rosary or a stem of the rosary, because they figured my mother has passed away. And we went out to pick up ducks that were floating on Badger Lake. And he and his brother had been killing the mallards all morning, and they needed me to help pick them up.
That's what it was.
That was bitter clash about a wasted rosary there.
Yeah. I also, the stories you had, correct me if I'm wrong, Cousin Eddie, I got it right?
Yeah.
Cousin Eddie?
Yeah.
Something to do with a carp festival or something in Fulda?
Oh, well, that was just I mean, that was just an annual event that they had a smoke, smoke fry that they'd go out and cut a hole in the lake in middle of January and seine all these carp out of there, and then they'd smoke them up, and they had the big social event of the year was smoked carp. But Cousin Eddie would be some other story. I'd have to think of which one.
So in my small town, Patrick, maybe a little bigger than Fulda, not much. Every spring when we had the smelt fry at the Legion, the good old boys in town would get all liquored up and get in a fight. It was always good to stick around for as long as possible so you could see these respectable citizens going at it toe to toe in the Legion. Well, did you see any fights?
I don't think we had that problem at the Smoked Carp Fest. But they called it, I think my old man came up with the name, Fisher-Rama, they called it.
Perfect. Fisher-Rama.
Goes back to the 50s. But, boys, if your plumbing's not operating properly, go get yourself a smoked carp.
Yeah.
Eat that baby, and you'll be just fine.
And then maybe you want to use an outhouse. You don't want to bring that kind of thing into the home.
You don't want to be in the home. But,
good to know. I got a colonoscopy coming up in June. Good to know.
Yeah.
Well,
you know
stuff.
what I found out? A good thing about being old?
No, what's that, Patrick?
They stopped giving you them at 75. That's
Oh.
the insurance company. Yeah,
You're on your own.
Yeah, you're on your own. If
Is this- that's
something in there there's something in there that's your problem. We don't care if we save you or not.
You know, they do the same with the prostate at a certain point too. So
Yeah.
I've only got 10 years left, and
Coles,
no more colonoscopies because it's too late. You're on your own.
it was just a couple of years ago. I think it was before we went to podcast where Reusse would. You were wearing some kind of bag, Pat. And
that was when they. It turned out to be a roto-rooter. It wasn't prostate. It was, they kind of cleaned her out. But I was at the state fair for 8 days with a bag. It was great.
didn't have to go to the bathroom.
You never had to go to the bathroom. You could wait till you got back to the station. I thought if I ever have to do the whole fair again, I'm just going to go get one.
Wait, where was said bag as you walked around the fair? Where
attached to your
the backside?
Front side.
Front side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They hang it there. They got a whole truss system.
Right. I think I had it. It just happened. I had to wear this thing for like 10 days, and 9 of them were at the fair. It was great.
That's so much better than a diper. I would open
It's
a
better
business.
than a diaper,
yeah.
But
you're right. I would
man.
open a business and offer that right at the state fair. Strap up. Come on in, strap up. Yeah.
Kenny's House of Bags.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be better than having all these skinny people on the Jay, we were going to start the deal. Maybe that was when we were still going to the fair with us. But those deals, the scooters that they run around.
the Rascals.
Yeah.
We were going to ride around on the Rascals.
Yeah, I was going to have you had to
That's
be
right.
fat. You had to be properly fat to use one of those.
Yeah.
I was going to be the guy that say, hey, you're not fat enough. You're waiting for
The law would be you can't see your privates. If you can't see your privates, you're in. Yeah.
You can't be a 112-pound woman in one of those. You got to be at least 2 bills.
Yeah.
Got to be some standards.
Yeah.
The one we never did get to play, though, because people thought it was inappropriate, was pregnant or not. We were going to play at the fair.
Yeah. That's a fun one.
People, we like to tease people at the fair, but
Right.
they didn't like to be teased as much as we wanted.
Yeah, you just walk by them and go, congratulations, when you do.
Jay, did you see what they had out at the fair this year? What was what was that, Kenny? The most disgusting food ever. It was like
I don't remember.
It was
I don't recall.
It was like a taco, a fried taco in a bun or some damn thing.
Yeah.
Was it a chow cone?
No, that
no,
was
no, the
was that
chow
Holman
cone, that
or who was that?
That was Don Riley.
Don Riley. You
Don
know about the
Riley
chow
was
cone?
getting rich with the chow cone.
Tell Coles what the cone is.
Oh, Riley was the greatest guy ever. He was a crazy. he got sober in 79 or so, but he was funny before. He was funny later, but he was really funny when he was drinking. But he and his buddies always had plans to get rich, Jay. And the fair, they'd go to a fair and they'd see all these people in these stands making money, and they always wanted something. And chow mein had become a big deal, like late 50s or whatever it was. And they decided to have the chow cone. You're going to put chow mein in a cone, you're going to pay them $2. First family they give chow cones to, it comes hot, spilling out of the bottom, gets all over the clothes. They're closed down at 10:10, and they got a bill.
The cone melted.
That's one of the best fair stories I've ever heard.
One was his next one he was going to have.
God,
he was telling us about these stories. And the next one he was going to have putting. Putting. He's going to build a platform with putting.
Sure.
And you win the teddy bears and stuff like that. But he was going to get rich on that one. So his daughter's out there. She's like 7, and once they get done, he says, "Hey, what was her name? She was a great kid, man. She was a great kid." She says, "Sheila or whatever, try it this once." She's like 20 feet away, and it goes clonk right in them.
Oh, no.
It tries again, goes clonk. They got it so it's built right down to go into the hole.
Oh, no.
So it just came out the
he's
bottom.
out of teddy bears about a half hour after they open it.
It's like, are you telling me it's like a funnel? The green is like a funnel?
He never explained to the builder. He didn't want the ball to go in the hole.
That's the opposite of how you're supposed to build it.
That's so good. That's pretty good. I hadn't heard that one either. That's good.
And the last one is he's got Lassie at Met Center. He and one of his drinking buddies have decided to bring Lassie in for his daughter's birthday, and they're going to make money on the deal, having Lassie come in and out at Met Center, for God's sakes. And they have a few toddies, and they're driving out to Met Center, and the traffic is backed up to St. Paul, and then they see all these visions of millions of every kid in town being at the Lassie show, and it's actually some car accident that took place up there. They get there, there's about 14 kids.
Oh, man. That's too good.
Oh, Patrick.
That's too good.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm glad we got to tell, the big thing now with the kids is the origin story, which drives me crazy. I hate that phrase. It makes me want to slap somebody. But now Coles knows the origin story of the Krabby Coffee
Well, I kind of
Shop.
had a little bit of the history of it back when. I did not remember the tweet. I would love to see the tweet with the middle finger.
Yeah, and
did not know about that.
The thing about this that really makes me the most angry is Souchere taking credit for it.
Well, why
he's
not?
actually he's written a couple of columns about it, like it's his. And he was
I
just
get
sitting
the
there
idea.
listening to Reusse and I talk.
I know that's I love the man sincerely, and I never would accuse him of stealing anything except he stole that.
Totally, outright. So thanks for joining us.
About it.
Thanks, Pat.
Okay.
Are you going to cue me when you want me to hit this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Coles, what do you think of that?
He's always the most entertaining guy on the planet.
Yeah.
Any room you go into, he's the most entertaining.
Yeah, he's so fun.
We were joking about that memory. He can remember who was the starting pitcher on opening day in 1976.
Yeah.
And who they were playing.
Yeah.
It's remarkable, right?
Yeah.
But
what'd you have for dinner yesterday?
he wouldn't be able to tell you
No
anything.
idea.
So when Willie was gone and it was him and Bernsey,
Yeah.
I didn't know either one of these guys.
By the way, for people that don't know Willie Clark and Patrick was right. You think Patrick's surly and grumpy. He is charming and a sweetheart compared to Willie. Willie calls mental institutions Twitch farms. He calls fat people butter hogs.
Butter hogs, Twitch farms, pencil neck geeks. He had it all.
He had a Cadillac when we had a weekend getaway for the station people, the on-air people. He had a Cadillac that when he opened the trunk, it was full of ice and liquor.
And vodka.
Yeah.
His garage.
Yeah.
You know, you have those shelves that might go around the whole garage.
Yeah.
I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
I went into his garage. Every shelf was a case of vodka.
Yeah.
from one end to the other.
Yeah.
And
And
I was like, well, if it's a short happy hour, what are we doing? I couldn't figure it out.
He did take the cure.
He did.
Yeah.
He took the cure. He had to. But I didn't know Patrick and Burnsy, they scared the crap out of me. And then you slowly come to find out with Patrick, he'd do anything for you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Nicest guy.
Yeah.
Drove all the way up to Grand Forks for my son's wedding in the Marine Corps.
Yep.
When I was in rehab. He called me in 9 days in rehab.
Yep.
And I was so glad he called me because I wanted out of there so bad.
Yeah.
And he goes, you got to stop being a big wussy and just take it. You're going to get out of there in 10 days.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah, he took the cure himself.
He took the cure, but he would take that kind of time and spend that kind of energy on you that you would have never thought of by his public persona.
Right.
Yeah, he would always offer up his condo down in Fort Myers. You know, you want to bring your girlfriend down. He was nothing like I thought he was off air.
In those days, I was doing traffic, and for some reason, management really liked me. They liked me more than I liked myself, so they made the morning shows have me on whether they wanted to have me on or not. Yeah. And that was a problem. I didn't like doing that. So when Reusse was brought in, and I said, look, Pat, I don't know anything I cannot keep up with sports. What do you want me to do? And Royce's simple reply, make quips. So that's what I did.
Yeah, be entertaining. I don't
just
care.
Sat there like a smart ass.
Make quips.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was nothing like I thought he would be in the end. He's a really... He'd hate this. He'd hate it, but he actually is just a super
He won't
nice
listen,
guy.
so we can say nice.
Yeah.
He won't listen to this. He, speaking of Fulda and Worthington, I have people down there, and
that know him.
Yeah, and I think his cousin Eddie actually might have married one of my people, and it didn't work out so well.
It's too bad,
but
because Eddie was good.
Years and years later, they still talk about Richard Reusse, Patrick's dad. Only they call him Dickie. Dickie Reusse.
Dickie Reusse. Yeah. Those were, like I said, it was only 15 or 16 months, but it was really fun. Patrick was a piece of work.
So you've been really driving me crazy the last month or so. You keep asking me, what are we
supposed to do?
Yeah, this is it.
What do we do?
This is it. This is what we do.
I told you once I could get into the flow and understand how it worked, I could adapt and figure it out. It's just, you can understand the world I came from after the last 15 years.
Well, speaking of that world, that is why I've always wanted to work with you. First of all, you're a meathead. Yep. The guy you play on TV is not the Jay I know. No. You never make any fart jokes, or you never poke anybody in the rib.
Nope.
You're not lighting up a heater.
No.
You're super serious.
Super serious because it kind of goes with the territory, right?
But in all of those years, you must have a Rolodex that's 20 pounds.
It's pretty good. I mean, if you can't because it was 15 years, the last 15 years, and prior to radio, it was 11 or 12 down there.
Yeah.
So it's almost 30 years. So it was 27 years plus radio, so over 30 years, and then 40 years because stations before I got here. So yeah, and what we're going to do, hopefully, is lean on some of those folks in the phone, right?
That's what I'm hoping for.
Get some people in here that have some interesting stories to tell, because we can do newsy stuff. I just want it to be interesting and a little offbeat.
I want you to do all the work.
Yeah.
I just want to show up. That's. I'm going to just be honest with you.
Listen, I work with a talented photographer downstairs. He always tells me MEMG, minimal effort, maximum glory.
Yeah. Who is that? Is that Joe?
No, can't give it up. Can't give up the photographer's name.
Well,
he'd kill me.
He's my best friend.
But we'd be working on a piece, and I'd want to do some extra production stuff, and he'd be like, it's not MEMG.
Yeah.
It's minimal effort, maximum glory. And he was right. So both of us my whole goal is minimal effort, maximum glory.
That should be the new name of the podcast.
Yeah, minimal effort, maximum glory. That should be the podcast.
Starring Jay Coles.
Yeah, because I went away from full-time work. I don't want full-time work anymore. I want to have some fun, make a little extra money to waste at the casino, and through all minimal effort, maximum glory.
Should we give away?
That's our T-shirt.
Should we give away who we're thinking about, or should we let it be a surprise? Because we got to come back next week and do one of these.
No, I will tell you this. I won't give the other ones away. The one I'm going to really try hard to get, if we can't do next Wednesday, we could do it any Wednesday. The acting U.S. Attorney for Minnesota, Joe Thompson. You've seen him a million times.
Former acting, but yeah.
Now, because Daniel Rosen's been appointed.
I want to ask him, that's a weird transition.
Well, it isn't. He was the head of their white collar division terrific.
But then he stepped in and took over, and
Took
now
over.
he's stepping back.
Yeah, well, before him, there was Fitzpatrick, the woman.
gal.
I can't remember her. What was her first name?
I don't know.
Lynn Fitzpatrick,
Mary,
something.
Lynn,
She was the interim, and then
Jim.
she left, and then Joe came in.
Yeah, I don't know.
And anywho, what people don't understand is the only person that's politically appointed is the U.S. attorney. So the U.S. attorney for the District of Minnesota, Daniel Rosen, is now appointed. So he's a political appointee. He can be jettisoned at any time. The rest of the U.S. attorney's staff, like Joe Thompson, are regular civilian employees.
Oh,
They're
so-
not political.
Oh, well, so he's in a better position.
Yeah.
And he's going to keep doing the
Yep.
fraud.
He was the head of their white collar division, so that's how I got to know him. And he's always been terrific. But then he became the face on TV you saw all the time because of all the fraud cases. And he's the one who gave me the interview that said it was going to be over $1 billion. And that once he said $1 billion, it kind of blew up.
Yeah, okay, Jay.
That's who I want to talk to next week.
This fraud thing is interesting, but it's not as interesting, and I don't want you to give it away. It's not as interesting as the main thing you want to ask
correct.
him.
I agree.
So I want everybody listening to be sure to join us
Yeah.
when we have Joe
when we
on,
get Joe.
because Jay's got a really funny,
Fascinating.
weird angle.
Yeah.
And then the other one I want to really get to is, was it Normie, right?
Norm Coleman, Senator Coleman.
And I've been talking about this on the podcast for a couple of years now,
Mm-hmm.
how Norm was told to go home and die.
That's basically what he told me during an interview. Of course, I was doing an interview with him about something else.
Yeah.
But you always chat before and after the interview.
Yeah.
And I was getting caught up with him. How you doing?
Yeah.
How's whatever happened with the cancer stuff? You had it, and then he briefly told me that he was told to go to his cabin. Things weren't looking good. Like he was essentially going to die.
Yeah.
And then we know the rest of the story. He's still kicking and with us and doing great things and out in Washington as a lobbyist. And I mentioned to him back when I was doing television news full time, man, I'd love to do a story just on that. On not all the things you did with the Wild, the run for governor, being mayor of St. Paul, and then a U.S. senator. Just what was it like as a human being to be told, go back to the cabin, enjoy the rest of what you got left, and then here you are 10 years later, 7 years later, living your life. And he had some interesting things to say just briefly about it. And I've always saved it. And I thought when we decided you and I were going to get together and do a podcast, I'd love to talk with Senator Coleman about what's it like to be basically told this is it. And then all of a sudden it's not.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it could be really
I
good.
want to hear about this.
So that kind of stuff.
I haven't
That's what we're
told
gonna
you about this one, but I want to tap you for what you know about healthcare facilities where people who are disabled have to go. And here's the setup. My dad got in a bad crash a few years ago, had to have spinal surgery, was on a whole lot of medicine. The hospital he was in kicked him out. We had a hard time finding a care facility that could care for him 24 hours a day. We found one, and it was horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. And I'm not going to mention, if I even mention the suburb it's in, everybody, including you, will know.
Probably would.
So they were searching around, my dad and his wife, for one, and they couldn't find anything. So finally, my dad's wife said, screw it. I'm taking him out of here. And she pulled him off the medicine he was on, and he made a 70% improvement within 2 weeks
And was able to go home?
of being off the medicine. The first thing they did, a month later, they were in Lake Havasu because they can't stand the thought of snow. They spent the winter in Havasu because they could drive, and now he flies out to Hawaii every year like he used to.
Wow.
And he's walking up and down the driveway with a walker, and he drives with hand controls, and he really gets along great. But when he was in care, he was a disaster. He was falling out of bed. They weren't picking him up. They weren't putting him back into bed.
Yeah.
And I rember telling you about this, and you said, "Oh yeah. I did a lot of. I did stories on this. I can tell you a lot."
I did.
Yeah.
I did investigations on it, and it's pervasive. What you're telling me is nothing new. Quite often, there's a lot of abuse.
Yeah.
There's a lot of not just even physical and mental abuse, but they'll steal their property.
Yeah.
They being the staff.
Jay, we had to put cameras in the room.
Yeah. And here's the thing. The short answer is the state just doesn't have the resources or fails to hire enough people to go in and investigate
The whole system is a disaster.
It's broken, and they should go in and investigate. Some of that, Kenny, is not even a healthcare maltreatment type thing as much as it is a criminal event. I'm sure what happened to your father there was something criminal that happened with him in that care facility that never got investigated properly. I've got all kinds of stories I could tell you. That's why I told you the situation I have at home. Former girlfriend, 2 strokes, permanently disabled, going to go into a state-run facility. I said, no, I got an extra bedroom. Come with me, just because I simply knew through stories I've done in the past how bad it can be. That doesn't mean all of them are bad, but unless you got $10,000-$15,000 a month you can afford, you ain't getting into the good ones.
I learned something about that. When you don't have that money, they start taking your assets.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they drain you.
That's why you got to move your assets as you get older.
In one case, he fell out of bed and they would not come up
I believe it.
to the 7th or 5th floor, whatever he was on, and put him back into bed. I said, call the fire department, ask for a lift assist.
Yep.
And the fire department rolled up and went right up there,
Smart
put him
move on
back
your
into
part.
bed. And I only did that because I've heard it mentioned on the scanner time and time again, lift assist.
Yep.
And then that's
Smart move.
just another record that this facility has against them.
Yeah, it's we could do shows that would never end on this. It's that bad.
But
It's
then,
that bad.
on the other hand, I want to talk to people that light farts on fire too.
Well, I do too. That's what I told you.
Yeah.
I said I want to do some serious stuff that's a little offbeat. And then some shenanigans.
Yeah.
Just have some fun.
So our second episode of the brand new Krabby Coffee Shop comes out next week. Unless we
tape it today and we air it when?
I don't know. I think it comes out tonight.
Oh, tonight? Oh,
it comes out
all right,
tonight.
all right.
Yeah.
I never knew. I didn't even know when we put it out. When we dropped it.
Thank you so much.
Well,
for
thank
being
you.
here
Yeah, I
and doing
appreciate
this.
it.
This
Yeah.
is going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a ton of fun. I
Yeah,
appreciate the opportunity to do it with you again. This is like getting the old band back together, and I kind of like it.
Yeah. And thanks everybody for listening to the Krabby Coffee Shop.
Yeah.